What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be sharing my monthly budget for January and how that all went. How much I spent, did I overdo it? Did I go under my monthly limit? And I'm also going to just talk about the products that I bought and what I regret buying versus what I'm glad I bought. And I want to do these not because I feel like I owe you an explanation or that I have to be accountable to anybody for the money that I'm spending. I'm doing this for myself and to keep myself accountable, because in the beginning of the year, you might remember that I realized I was spending about $1,000 a month on makeup. And while that's not an overwhelmingly large amount for a beauty content creator, I think, when I look around and I see how much stuff I have and it was just getting so overwhelming for me, I realized that I could cut back a little bit and still be able to review the things that I need to review for the month, but not go crazy. I don't have to buy something in all the different colors that it comes in. I don't have to buy things that I know I'm not going to use just for the sake of review, that kind of thing. I just felt like I could cut back. So I set myself a goal of $400 a month, which is less than half of what I was spending before. And really, I just kind of pulled that $400 number out of nowhere, but I was hoping to at least decrease my spending by half if possible, and maybe adjust as we go throughout the year. So I think what I'll do first is just go through the budget, show you guys how much I spent, and then we'll talk about the products that I bought and whether I really needed some of them or not. And I actually made a couple of little graphics that I'm going to be looking at. I have them on my phone, and it just helps me to kind of lay things out and see what I spent a little bit better. I'm a very visual person, so hopefully this will help you guys as well. So I did get two $100 gift cards to Sephora. I got one for my birthday in November and then one at Christmas time. So I had $200 to spend at Sephora, and basically this is what I bought with those gift cards. So earlier in the month, in the beginning of January, I had purchased the Patrick Ta eyeshadow duo in Still at the Club for $42. I also got the Makeup by Mario lip gloss in Berry for $26. I got the House Labs mascara that just came out. Also the new NARS lip oil. This was in the shade Wondrous, that was $28. And then I ended up getting, which I haven't even talked about on my channel yet, two of the YSL powder blushes, and those are $45 each. So all of that adds up to $215. So I did go over the gift cards a little. I spent $15, so really not too bad for all of that stuff. But I regret pretty much everything that you just saw on that slide. And that's really unfortunate. And it's not that they're all bad products necessarily. I just really, when I look at it now, I did not need them. And I think this is one of the cases where I have to be a little bit better about this. And part of it, I think, was because I knew I had the gift card and it's free money. So just why not? Let me try some new things. I think I would spend differently if it was my own money that I had earned myself and not a gift card. I might have been a little bit more selective. Maybe I would have only purchased one of the YSL blushes. I might not have purchased the lip oils and things like that. So most of the products on the screen I have already reviewed. I talked about the Patrick Ta duo in a video earlier in January, and I was disappointed in this. I mean, it was okay, but definitely not worth the price, not worth the hype. I actually had compared it to, I forget if it was a Moira eyeshadow or the Urban Decay Moondust, but whatever the other one was lasted so much longer on my eyes than this when I did a wear test. This was halfway faded. I was really disappointed in the wear time. I just really regret buying this, and I'm glad at least I used a gift card on it and it wasn't my own money, because I just don't see myself reaching for it very often, especially the fact that it doesn't last on my eyes. Next up, we had the Makeup by Mario lip gloss in Berry and the NARS lip oil in Wondrous. I also had reviewed these in a video, and I was so disappointed in the pigmentation of these. Both colors are one of the deepest shades in the range, and neither one of these showed up on my lips well at all. You might remember that video. When I put them on, you would think a deeper color like this would at least show somewhat, and I was really bummed at the lack of pigmentation. I did like the formula of this one better than the NARS. I felt like this was so thin and it just kind of disappeared into my lips. It didn't feel particularly hydrating. I did like the Mario one, but it's a lip gloss. At the end of the day, it feels a lot like other ones that I've tried at the drugstore. This formula in particular was similar to something like the NYX Fat Lip Oil, which I really love, and they're great lip glosses, but I can get something like this so much cheaper. I just don't see a huge difference in lip glosses and lip oils at the different price points. So going forward, I definitely have to just maybe skip over some of the higher end lip gloss formulas because I just don't really see the benefit in paying all that extra money. Another product I kind of regret buying from Sephora is the Haus Labs mascara. I just felt like this was okay. I tried this up against the Hourglass tubing mascara that I've been wearing a lot, and I just like the Hourglass better. This one claimed to have like this really lightweight formula, but it almost felt heavy when I put it on, even though that's opposite of what it says it's supposed to do. And I felt like at the end of the day, my lashes on the Haus Labs side just looked more weighed down. The Hourglass one held the curl better. Not to mention, tubing mascaras are just much easier to remove at the end of the night. So I think unless a mascara has some really, really outrageous claims or is getting fantastic reviews, I'm not going to buy non-tubing mascaras as much as I used to. I always felt like mascara was one of those products that was so hard for me to resist because I'm always looking for one that's going to be better than the last. But ever since I found tubing mascaras, I find that I just keep going back to those and not wearing the regular ones that I buy. So that's another thing. I think going forward, I'm going to be a little more selective about mascara. And then when it comes to the YSL blushes, I know I didn't review these yet on my channel. If you'd like to see a review, let me know, or even just like a blush roundup because there have been so many new blushes coming out. And if you're anything like me, you might be just blushed out right now and not really wanting to buy anymore. And I think really when it comes down to it, we don't have to. I bought these because of the packaging. I mean, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. That's the whole reason I bought these. I did not need any more blushes in my life, but the packaging is so cute. It looks kind of like their handbags. It's kind of puffy and leathery. I don't know if it's real leather. It's probably not, although for the price, it wouldn't surprise me. But you know, it's just like this nice, soft, leather-like kind of packaging. I mean, it's just really luxurious. But when it comes down to it, these blushes are not really anything special. So like I said, I got two different shades, one that was matte and one that's a satin finish. So the satin finish is number 93. I just have to look up what color that actually is on my phone. It's called Restless Rose. And the other one, number 87, is called Pink Voltage. So these are supposed to be a blurring formula, and to be completely honest with you, they remind me almost exactly of the Too Faced Cloud Crush blushes. Really similar. And those are $31, so it's not like they're cheap, but they're $14 cheaper than these are. And I find that they are just as blurring, just as smooth and pigmented. I'll show you the colors that I got. This is Restless Rose up here, and then this one is Pink Voltage. So again, Restless Rose is the satin finish, and I find that it's actually a little bit glowy. I'm actually wearing this one in the video today. And yes, they are beautiful. I'm just gonna add a little bit more, but this satin finish has like this gold shimmer in it. So to me, it's more of a shimmer finish than satin. And because it has that shimmer, it's not really that blurring on your cheeks, so you have to be careful. I think the matte one, the Pink Voltage, does have that really nice smoothing effect, similar to the Too Faced, but I don't feel like it's any more smoothing than those, and those are less expensive. So when it comes right down to it, I feel like I just bought these for the packaging. They're not really that much different than things that I already have. So again, while it's not a bad product by any means, I really just didn't need them. So just to recap this slide right here, I spent $15. I got all of this. I think going forward, I'm not going to have the Sephora gift cards, so I'm going to have much less room to play than I did in January. But as it turns out, I didn't really need any of this anyway. So let's move on to the next slide. This one contains both drugstore and some high-end products that I bought as well. And all of this I have also reviewed. So we had the LA Girl Cloud 9 palettes. These were those cream eyeshadow palettes, $8 each. Also, they had a blush and bronzer duo for $8, so I actually really love those. I'll talk about those in a second. We had the Pixi foundation stick at $20 and the Pixi lip mask at $12. The Maybelline Superstay Lumi Matte Foundation at $12. Then back up at the top, we had the Hourglass Foundation, the new one, at $58. The Glossier Black Cherry products that they had launched. So we had the Cloud Paint at $22 and the Balm.com at $16. We also had the new Dior Forever Hydra Nude Foundation. And even though this is $57, I used $50 in Ulta points to buy this. So it ended up being a $7 purchase. And the total for all of this was $171. So that plus the $15 that I didn't spend on the gift cards at Sephora, we're at $186 total so far of my $400 budget. So let's just quickly go through some of the products on this slide. I already reviewed them all, so I really just want to let you know whether I regret buying them or not. So as far as the LA Girl stuff, I do not regret these purchases. I really have been enjoying these eyeshadow palettes. Like I mentioned in my review, they're kind of similar to something like the ColourPop Super Shock shadows. And I know I got some questions about whether they were all cream shadows in this palette. Yes, even the matte shades are cream. They have a similar vibe to like the cream matte shadows that are in the Natasha Denona palette, some of them. And I think these are really fun and a little bit different and interesting. And what I love about the shimmers in particular is that they have that beautiful scattered light effect, but because they're creams, the glitter doesn't get everywhere like it would with a powder formula. So I like these. I think they were definitely worth the $8 in my opinion. I also really liked the blush and bronzer duo. I felt like the colors were so beautiful and I wasn't expecting to love it. When I first saw this in person, I thought that the blush and bronzer looked too deep for me, but they're actually not. If you missed this review, I think it was the last video I did, so definitely check that out. You'll see these products in the thumbnail, but I really liked these. Definitely no regrets. When it comes to the Pixi foundation stick, I'm not like the biggest fan of this. It was okay, but it does have a very greasy feel to it, which for me, having really dry skin in the middle of the winter, it's fine. But I don't think I'll be liking this heading into the summer. I think it's just too sticky. And really, it was super sheer. It didn't cover a whole lot. I think it did look very natural and very skin-like on me, but I'm usually looking for at least like a medium coverage. I don't like full coverage these days, but for me, this was basically a skin tint in a stick. It reminded me a lot of the one from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So if you like that one, I think you might like this as a more affordable alternative. They had a really similar texture and feel, but it wasn't my absolute favorite thing, so I do regret buying this. However, I loved the Pixi lip mask. This is really similar to the Laneige Bouncy and Firm lip mask. I feel like they have a similar jelly texture. The Pixi one does come in different shades. I got the red one and it just gives this beautiful, like slight hint of a red tint. It comes with a little applicator in the cap. It's a fun product that just feels so hydrating. I'm gonna put a little bit more on. I'm wearing the NYX Lip IV lip stain right now and it doesn't feel quite as hydrating as I need. Like I'm just getting over a cold, my lips are really chapped. Having this extra moisturizing lip mask has been really great this week and it makes my lips feel so soft and smooth and just gives this beautiful kind of dewy look. It also has no fragrance, so I really love this. I think it was definitely worth buying as well. Next, when it comes to the Glossier Cloud Paint and Balm.com in the black cherry shades, I admit I fell for the hype. Like this whole black cherry thing is really big right now. A lot of brands are coming out with their own versions of like this cherry color. And I mean, it's pretty, but I think one thing I was a little bit disappointed in, especially when it comes to the lip balm, is that this color isn't quite the black cherry that I was envisioning. It's more of like a brick red. So it's a little bit orangey and I was picturing in my head more of like a cooler red. So this isn't my favorite color. It's fine and I do like this formula, but I kind of regret buying the lip product. I think the blush fared a little bit better, mostly because I really love this color, but also it's one that I feel like I have to be very careful with because I have such fair skin. I can only use like the tiniest little drop, and that's why I don't buy red blushes all that often, because They're just a little bit trickier for me to use, even though I love the end result and I think it looks really beautiful. I already have a couple of red blushes, and the amount of product that I use is so small that I think they're gonna last me a really long time, and truthfully, I didn't need this. So now that I'm looking back on it, I did just fall for the hype and wanted to kind of jump on that cherry trend, and everybody was raving about these, but they're fine. I mean, they were okay. They're not bad products. I'll definitely use them. I just didn't feel like they were really necessary. And then when it comes to the Dior foundation, I do not regret that one for 1 second. I love that foundation so much. And out of all the foundations that I tried in January, and there have been a lot, this is at the top of my list. This one just looks so beautiful on my dry skin. It has the perfect medium coverage. It is very skin-like, very natural looking. It doesn't look like you're wearing a mask. It doesn't cling to dry patches. My one and only really tiny complaint is that it has fragrance in it, but at the same time, it's not even as strong as what Dior usually puts in their foundations. Either way, I'm not particularly sensitive to fragrance in products, so I'm totally okay with it. I think this is an absolutely gorgeous formula if you have more mature skin or you have dry skin. So I did intend to do like a foundation roundup. I'm still trying some of them, but if you'd like to see that, let me know. I can rank all of the ones that I've tried because, like I said, this year there have been a lot of new ones to come out, but this one is already at the top of my list. I can tell you that. And once this is gone, if something better hasn't come out yet, I would gladly pay the $57. I know that's really expensive for foundation, but I would pay the full price for this, definitely. And then the last product in this slide is the Maybelline Lumi Matte Foundation. I don't regret buying this one either, even though I don't love it as much as I did when I first showed it in a video. I know that day when I tried it on, I was absolutely blown away. I feel like it's so long lasting on my skin. It looked really natural. It looked beautiful. I love how thin the texture is. It really just looked like a second skin. It was gorgeous. But after I tried it, I realized that this has denatured alcohol in the formula. And I know that a lot of brands put that in there just knowing that it's going to evaporate, but it helps to give foundations that really thin fluid texture. However, for those of us with dry skin, it can be a very drying ingredient, and I usually don't buy foundations if I see that it has denatured alcohol in it. It's my fault that I didn't even look at the ingredient label when I first bought this. I just bought it straight out. But then some of you in the comments were asking me what I thought of the fact that this has alcohol. And I was like, wait, what? It does? I didn't even realize that. So, with that in mind, I've been wearing this now over the last couple weeks, and I've noticed that if I wear it like more than a couple days in a row, my skin does start to feel a little bit more dry and tight. And I noticed like the other day, my chin was super itchy after I wore this, and I think it's just maybe not the best thing to be wearing now in the winter time. I think heading into the summer, it might be a little bit better for me because my skin goes more from dry to normal in the summer. And I think a formula like this that's really thin and weightless is going to feel nice in the summertime, and it also is long lasting. So hopefully it'll, last and it won't break down in the humidity and the heat and all of that. But for now, when I wear this, I have been putting a primer down first because I find that the primer creates a barrier between my skin and the product itself, and the alcohol doesn't bother me as much if I use a primer, so I've been doing that. Also, you can mix this foundation with a little bit of moisturizer or face oil, and even though that'll thin it out even more and decrease the coverage level, it does make it a lot more dry skin friendly. So there are things you can do if you really enjoy a formula like this, which I do. The alcohol doesn't have to be a deal breaker necessarily. So I'm not as crazy about this as I was in the beginning as I've continued to wear it, but I do still like the formula. And like I said, I think it's going to be better heading into the warmer months. All right, so next, the last slide actually has some products on it that I have not talked about on my channel yet. I bought these a couple of weeks ago, and I was intending on using most of them in a video last week, but then I was sick, so I didn't end up doing anything. But I've tried all but one of them, so I can kind of give you guys a little bit bit of info as we go. So let's take a look. I bought the new Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation at $46. I also bought one of the Natasha Denona High Blush Cheek Duos. I got the Rare Beauty Brow Gel, which isn't new, but it was a recommendation from you guys. I got the Fleur Golden Rule perfume, and since this was a blind buy, I just bought the smaller version for $29. And I got the new Physicians Formula blush and bronzer stick. And all of that added up to $151. So the only product I haven't tried on this slide yet is the Natasha Denona blush. It's still in the box. I actually got the shade Sweet Cheeks. It looks really pretty and I love a cream blush. I definitely did not need this. I did want to try the formula, and while I did want to try some of the other colors, I really reined myself in. I only bought one. So I'm trying to be better about that, but I definitely can't wait to try this coming up soon. If you'd like to see it in a video, let me know. So next, when it comes to the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation, I have worn this once so far and I'm still forming an opinion about it, but I don't love it. I think it's a little bit heavy for my taste. It's very thick, it's full coverage, it looks a little bit mask-like, and I did apply it with a sponge, hoping that I could kind of sheer it out a little. But even with that, I just felt like when I looked in the mirror afterwards, my face just looked like makeup-y. It had like that look like I'm obviously wearing foundation, and usually I like my foundation to kind of disappear into my skin and look very natural. But that being said, it didn't look dry on my skin, even though it's more of a matte formula. It has kind of a moussey feel, and it looked pretty smooth for the most part. It didn't cling to dry patches, so I was happy about that. But I think this is just a personal preference thing. I prefer a lighter, more fluid formula like the Dior, like the Maybelline one. This is just a little bit heavy for me. And if I had to compare this to something, I would say it's kind of similar to the One Size foundation, but I like that one better because that one, even though it also has, like, it has a semi-matte finish, it's not completely flat matte, but that one has a little bit more coverage. I just think it looks more natural on my skin. The way that it sits compared to this one, I like the One Size better, but they have that similar kind of slightly thicker texture, a little bit moussey. So I don't know, but anyway, I'm still playing with this. I can let you guys know in like an updated video at some point if I do a foundation video, where this ranks, but so far it's not like my absolute favorite. When it comes to the Rare Beauty Brow Gel though, oh my gosh, so happy that I purchased this. I was looking for a replacement for the Too Faced Fluff and Hold, which was my brow gel for the past couple of years. I loved the amount of hold that it had. It really kept my brows in place all day, and I need something with very strong hold. But then I noticed that the formula seemed to be changing. It wasn't quite as good as it was in the beginning, and then they seem to have discontinued it. They've been taking it out of Sephora and Ulta. It's getting really hard to find. So I had mentioned in a video that I was looking for a new brow gel, and some of you recommended this one from Rare Beauty, which I had never tried before. I love this. It's exactly what I was looking for. Some of the more recent brow gels that I've tried are almost more like a putty or a wax formula, and they're just too soft and they make my brows too malleable. Like they don't stay locked in place. And this one is not like that. It's a true brow gel. It has like a wetness to it when you first put it on, and then it just kind of freezes your brows in place all day. It's fantastic. So I love this. Thank you guys so much. I know I can always count on you for recommendations. So definitely happy that I bought that. The next thing I want to talk about is the Golden Rule perfume from Fleur. So this was a nice surprise. I do like it, and I'm going to date myself here, but this reminds me of, do you guys remember Bottled Emotions? They were these like little roll-on perfumes in the 90s, and I can't think of which one this reminds me of, but it's one of those, because as soon as I smelled this, it took me right back, and I like had a vision of that Bottled Emotions perfume in my head, but I just don't know which one it was. Unfortunately, I had a bunch of them, but there was one that was my favorite, and this is what that smells like. It's kind of warm, like it has that vanilla base to it, but it also is a little bit fruity. The description says that it has mandarin and pink pepper mixed with velvety coconut milk and rich vanilla cream, and then jasmine and orange flower. So it has like those white florals mixed with the vanilla and coconut. So It's a little bit more of a sweeter scent, but it also has that fruity element to it too with the mandarin orange. So I think that keeps it from being too sweet or like heavy with the vanilla and the coconut. The mandarin just kind of like lifts it a little bit and makes it lighter. But either way, it is a really interesting and more unique scent. I feel like when perfumes come out these days, a lot of them smell the same, and this one really doesn't. Like I haven't smelled anything like this since those Bottled Emotions back in the 90s, and I hate comparing this more like luxury perfume to something like that, but that's just what popped into my head. It's just, for me, a very nostalgic scent. So I'm happy that I bought it. I don't know that it's like my #1 favorite fragrance that I would wear all the time, but it's definitely one that I'll put in my rotation for sure. Then the last product is this Physicians Formula Butter Glow and Go Blush and Bronzer Stick. So I got this one in the shade Beachy Pink. So I think this was the lightest one. I got this at Walmart. And I've heard that this is supposed to be kind of similar to the one from Dibs Beauty, which I think just launched at Ulta. Those were kind of going viral on TikTok. And this one is a similar concept, although I don't think they're that much different in price. If I look it up, this one, they're charging $16.99 at Ulta. I paid $15 at Walmart. They're usually a little bit cheaper, but at Ulta they're $17 and the Dibs one is $19. So they're really not that much different in price. But I did also try this once and I really love the formula. I think it's great. So I'll just swatch it for you. I think the bronzer is a nice color. It is warm like a bronzer should be, but I didn't feel like it was super orange. In fact, I think it has a little bit more of a rosy undertone. So again, this is the Beachy Pink option. And I love how like creamy these are. They're very silky, really easy to blend, and they dry down to a powder finish. So they're not sticky. I would say my biggest complaint, and I'm just swatching them out all the way so that you can see, my biggest complaint about these is that you have to really layer it up to see the color. Like once you blend, they just fade so much. So look at the blush, like it almost disappears. And when I used this the first time, I found that I had to keep like going back over and over it again just to get the color to show up. So I do think it shears out a little bit too much, but if you like more of a natural look, I think you'll really like it. The other thing I wanted to mention is that it does have that Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer scent. So it smells very heavily of coconut, and even after I put it on, I could still smell it for a little while. So that's something I just wanted to mention, but I'll have to keep playing with it and let you guys know. So far, I'm not completely wowed by it and blown away, but at the same time, I think it's nice, especially like if you want something to travel with. It doesn't take up a lot of room and you have the blush and bronzer in one. So like there's positives and negatives to it, but I'll have to keep playing with it to kind of form like a solid opinion. So anyway, grand total that I spent this month was $337. So I did come in under budget, which I was really, really happy about. Like I said, I was definitely watching the numbers, making sure that I didn't go over, and I wanted to save myself a little bit of room. I have about $63 to play with, and I'm hoping that I can kind of go in a deficit for the next couple of months, because there are usually a lot of products that release like at the beginning of the summer and also heading into the fall, the holidays. I think it's going to be really hard to stick to that $400 budget. So if I keep under my budget for the next few months, like towards the end of the winter, heading into the spring, then I can kind of save up a little bit of that money and then put it toward those products during the months that I know there's going to be a lot more to review. But when I look back on the month of January, I do feel like I was able to review everything that I wanted to this month. I didn't feel like I was restricted too much with the $400. I think it also helps that I got quite a few products in PR that I was able to review for you guys as well. So far so good. I think this was a great learning experience the first month, just really taking a close look at everything that I bought, not just for the money aspect of it, but also in terms of product regrets and trying to retrain my brain to maybe not make those impulse purchases or buy things because of trends. So I know for me, it really helps to just take an overall look at everything at the end of the month and figure out what I could do differently next time. So I hope this was helpful for those of you who are on a budget or are watching your spending, and I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. How are you reining in your your spending if that's what you're doing, or if you're not, let us know what your favorite products were that you bought in January. And I just want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. I truly appreciate it. If you do happen to have some extra time and you'd like to watch another one of my videos, I'll put something right over here that you could check out next. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye.